This is what I call God's country. Well, we made it to the top, and holy cow, this is the top of the world, man. Probably 3/4 of the way up now. Well, I'm home. I'm finally home. What a trip. Man, I don't even know where to start. We ended up coming home about 5 days early, and we had to because we were very successful. We got our moose, and you can only leave the moose so long out in the bush, and then you've got to get it to a butcher shop, and it doesn't matter how cold it is unless it's like frozen rock solid, which we don't really want to do either because it's just a lot harder for the butcher, and it's not as good for the meat to freeze solid and then have to defrost it or whatever to cut it. So anyways, we came home a little bit early, which is fine. You know what? We had a really good stretch out there. We're up in northwestern BC, right on the Yukon border, and the weather was great. No other hunters. We never saw a soul in, 20 days, whatever. I don't even know how many days we were gone. 18, 19, 20 days, something like that. We never saw a soul. So that's awesome. Weather was good, nice and cold. I would say lows were down to probably, maybe -10 or so. Wind chill probably -20. And then highs during the day got up to maybe freezing, maybe 0 degrees. So it was perfect. We saw lots of animals, lots of beautiful country. We saw some sheep. We only saw a few caribou, and that's kind of disappointing. I think we saw a total of 4 caribou, and we normally will see up to, sometimes up to 100. And this trip, they just weren't there yet, and that's the way it goes. They're not there. They're nomadic, right? They just roam, and they just weren't there yet. So, or they had already been there and gone. Hard to say, but so we, we saw moose, we saw sheep, we saw caribou. I personally never saw one bear. I never saw a grizzly, and I never saw a wolf, which is good. But we did have a grizzly. The second to last night that we were there, we had a friggin' grizzly come right into our camp, and one of my partner's moose head was leaning up against a tree because he was taking the hide off of the head and getting it all ready to do a European mount on it. And a European mount is just the top part of the skull with the horns attached, and it looks quite nice. Anyways, he was doing a bit of work on the head that night around the campfire. And I'm sorry if that sounds grotesque to you. It's, we're not trophy hunters, we're meat hunters. But as you can see behind me, we keep all the horns. They're memories, right? They're just memories. They're like a picture, but they're real. So anyways, he was doing some work on the antlers that night. And we went to bed, and about 2:30 in the morning, around 2:30 in the morning, a grizzly came within about 10 or 12 feet of our tent, of our wall tent. We had a wood stove going inside, fire going outside, and that grizzly came to within 10 feet of our tent. And it took the head. Okay, and a large moose head up there, the antlers and the head is probably 150 pounds. One guy can barely carry it. Generally, it's two guys carrying it, the head. It's a lot of weight. And this grizzly came in and packed it away, and there's no drag marks. Okay? There's snow on the ground, and there's no drag marks on the ground from that grizzly packing that moose head away. And then the grizzly came back, and the four quarters of the moose were hanging in a tree on a meat pole about probably 10 feet up to the lowest part of the meat. The poles are probably 15, 16 feet up, and it chewed on one of the quarters. Oh, that's hot. It chewed on one of the quarters, and we cover them in game bags, but it ripped the game bag, chewed on the quarter a little bit, and then it went to the next quarter beside it, and it ripped the quarter out of the tree. It broke. We use heavy 3/8 heavy, it's a good solid rope to tie everything up, and this bear ripped that quarter out of the tree. You could see where the quarter hit the ground, and then the bear picked up that quarter, which would weigh probably 160 to 175 pounds. 175 pounds of dead weight, and it picked that quarter up, obviously in its mouth, and it walked away with it. No drag marks. So, people wonder the strength of these wild animals, and you know what? Strength of a wild person. The forest people. We're talking. With them, you're talking anywhere from 7 to 10, 12 foot being, solid muscle, lived his whole life out there in the bush, and people go, oh, how are they capable of that kind of strength? Well, it's no different than a grizzly, right? Again, we don't know how big this bear was. I'm guessing probably a 7 foot, 8 foot bear, 600 to 900 pounds. And it packed away 175 pounds, and it carried it for about 150 yards without any drag marks, and it buried the quarter in the ground, and the moose horns and head were laying right beside it. We went in the next morning at daybreak, 4 of us with our guns, fully loaded, ready to protect ourselves, and we followed the tracks, and we found the horns, and there was a mound in the moss where the grizzly had buried the moose quarter. We saw the moose quarter. So, you know what? We're out in Mother Nature's playground, and that's what you have to contend with. And that bear was just doing what came natural to it. So what we did is we took the head back, because we need the head for proof of sex. The type of animal we shot, so we have to have that to show to the game warden. So we took the head, we left the quarter. You wouldn't want to eat that quarter after the grizzly's been all over it, but we left that quarter, and the grizzly will feed on that, right? So you take and you give out in the woods, right? But anyways, that was our only bear encounter, so pretty good for that. And no other problems. Everybody was healthy the whole trip, and we all got lots of meat in the freezer for winter, which I'm very, very grateful for. I go on these hunts because I love the outdoors and I love to hunt, but I also go on these hunts to fill my freezer and feed my family, and that's sort of the utmost important thing, and we're successful in that, and I'm very grateful to the moose and to Mother Nature for giving us that meat. So anyways, I have got a shit load of work to do to get unpacked, cleaned up. It's more work coming back from hunting than it is getting ready to go. So I've got a ton of work to do to get cleaned up and get shit taken care of. And I'm only home for a couple weeks. Okay. And then I'm taking off again for my solo journey, alone, my wilderness journey, part 2, taking off for that here in a couple weeks, right around the end of the month. That's the tentative date anyways. So don't have a lot of time. I got to get my energy back. This trip really kicked the shit out of me. We hiked somewhere around about 325 kilometers. So, we hiked, I think, around somewhere close to 200 miles. We were doing about 18 kilometers every day. And I don't know what 18 kilometers is in miles. 10 miles maybe. Somebody else can do the math for me. So we did a lot of hiking, and for some reason this year it really kicked the shit out of me, and probably because I'm getting older. I'm getting a little older, but the dry, cold air kicks the shit out of you. Your whole respiratory system, your nose, your sinuses, your throat, everything, just tough. I live in a rainforest. Okay, Vancouver Island is a rainforest. Very, very humid here, lots of moisture in the air all the time. And I go from here to one of the coldest, driest places in British Columbia. And it's a huge change to the system, right? So I got to recover from that, get my energy back, put on a bit of weight. I lost around 12 pounds. Put on a bit of weight and get back out there. Back out to the mountains. Back to my wilderness journey. Mrs. Outlaw and the kids aren't totally thrilled about me doing that again, but hey, it is what it is. Got to do what you got to do. What else we got? I'm going to share an email here. Okay, so I probably should have said this right off the hop, but to those people that can't sit through 5 or 10 minutes of a video, somebody explaining something or whatever, and basically I'm sharing my passion with you. But if you can't sit through that and you just want to get to the email, okay, here's a good pointer for you for future videos, and this one. For future videos, if you're just here to listen to an email, when I do this, when I put these suckers on my face, okay, that means I'm getting ready to read an email. If these suckers aren't on my face, no email. So if you're impatient and all you're here for is for entertainment, to hear an email, fast forward. Okay, don't bitch at me. I'm just gonna delete it. I'm gonna delete the comment and I'm gonna hide you so that you're still gonna be able to watch the channel, but you're not gonna be able to comment anymore because I don't want to hear it. Okay, I don't want to hear belly aching and complaining. Life is too frickin' short. So if you're here for the email, wait till I put my glasses on. Fast forward to there. Anyways, what else we got? I talked to, I'm gonna get, I'm not reading the email yet, but I'm gonna get my videos. I'm gonna get my videos edited. I gotta download everything, edit it all, and then start getting videos out. So videos of my hunt, you might see the odd clip here and there, little bits and pieces, but I will try to get those edited and out to you, hopefully in the next week or so. Okay, and I'm gonna just tell you right now, I did as much videoing as I could, but it's hard work. Videoing a hunt when you're out there hunting, it's hard work. It's very time consuming, and I couldn't do as much of it as I wanted to do. And also, this hunt is my time to get away, and it's my time to get away and disconnect and all that stuff. So, I didn't not video on purpose, but I found myself very busy looking for moose, doing my thing and enjoying myself, and I didn't get as much video as I had hoped to. But I hope I got enough to show you guys a little glimpse into what I'm so passionate about up there in northern BC. So I will get those videos out as soon as I possibly can. Another thing, I had a email conversation with a subscriber, Jeff Wine. I hope I pronounced that right, Jeff. Jeff Wine. Jeff is from Tacoma, I believe. And Jeff messaged me. Been a subscriber for a while, and Jeff messaged me about another gentleman, Fred Roll. subarctic Alaskan Sasquatch or Bigfoot. And I said to Jeff, as I said to everybody before, I don't follow a lot of channels, just because I don't have time. That's the only reason. I just don't have a lot of time to watch them. But I have seen a few of Fred's videos, and I watched a few more after Jeff let me know about them, and I read a bit into Fred's background, and he sounds like an incredible man. And so anyways, long story short, I reached out to Fred, and I just did that early this morning. So I reached out to Fred, and Fred responded. So Fred and I are going to get together. Fred, Roll, and I are going to get together. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to discuss things a little bit. I'm going to share with Fred my experiences, and I'm sure Fred will hopefully share with me his experiences. And I'm going to talk to Fred about maybe being able to record that conversation him and I have. He just seems like a real genuine man, much like Steve Isdall. So I want to, I want to talk with him, and I want to learn, and I want to hear more. And thanks, Jeff, for recommending that. And Fred and I we're gonna have a call tomorrow morning. Actually, I'm gonna give Fred a phone call, and we're gonna have either a video call or whatever. And it may take a while for that to come out, but I will share with you what Fred and I discussed. So, anyways, that's gonna happen. What else we got on the go? Oh man, there's lots. Oh, so this email. This email that I'm going to read here today. So this is from Stewart Miller, and Stewart is a geologist, and Stewart shared with us his last email. He shared with us he was on an elk hunt, and him and his partner Cliff firsthand witnessed 2 Bigfoot. Well, one do it, but there was 2 there. Witnessed 2 Bigfoot take down a cow elk and kill it and carry it away up the mountain right in front of them. And I read that, I believe I was gone when I read that one to you guys. I had it pre-recorded for you, but it scared the shit out of me because I was going hunting, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, wow. Thanks, Stuart. Anyways, I phoned Stuart, and he left me his phone number and told me to give him a call. So I did. And what an amazing man. Absolutely amazing man. There's so many good people out there in this world. and that makes me happy, because I really didn't think there was. Until I started doing this YouTube. I have a small circle, and I keep my circle small, and I just thought there's not a lot of really good people out there in the world, but man, there sure is. And there's a lot more than what's here at Outlaw Country, but I can damn rest assure you we have 8,700 subscribers here now. 8,700 subscribers here at Outlaw Country, and every damn one of you are top-notch, out of this world, phenomenal people. And I meet new people almost daily that are phenomenal people, like Fred Roll, phenomenal person. I'm a good judge of character. Okay, I can sit down with somebody or talk with somebody on the phone, and I can make my own conclusion about them pretty quickly. And anyways, Stuart, great man. Boy, we talked for I think we almost talked for 2 hours, just about everything and his experiences in his life. He's a geologist, and he's worked up in the Arctic of Canada. He's worked all over the world. He specializes in diamonds, finding diamond mines, and I don't know a lot about diamonds. I don't know hardly anything about diamonds other than women love them. And so Stuart's worked mostly up in the Arctic, but all over the world as well. And he does diamond mine exploration, I believe is what he said. And he's 60. Geez, Stuart, don't hate me for this. okay, I'm going to do it this way. Stewart's in his late 60s, very late 60s, but he sounds like a 45-year-old man. What he does and how he lives, he sounds like he's still a 45-year-old man. So good on you, dude. You're killing it out there. We had a super conversation. He told me all about his work and his life and and his passion for hunting and fishing. He loves river fishing. And God, that's good coffee. He loves river fishing. He loves elk hunting and mule deer hunting. And he was very envious of me going north for these Yukon moose, because he said it's always been on the bucket list for him. He said he's going to look into it. What would it take for him to come here and hunt? Unfortunately, I know that I can't take him. You have to be a licensed guide to be able to take somebody hunting, but I can put him on to people that I know that are licensed guides. So if I can help Stewart make a bucket list dream come true, I'm going to do it. Anyways, phenomenal man. And we talked for a long time, and I said, dude, send me your other emails. I'd really like to read them and get them out to the people. So he did. He sent me two more emails of 2 more encounters he's had with these people. And I know I said I'm just going to go through emails as they're in the inbox, but because of my recent conversation with Stu, I'm going to read his now, because he was telling me all about this, and I'm just like, stop, man. I'm like, holy shit, this is too much. You got to email this to me. He's like, I will, don't worry. And we talked quite a bit about it on the phone, and then he sent me the email. So I'm going to read Stu's email. I've checked my inbox, and I got another 35 emails, 40 emails. I think I had 8 old ones and 30 new ones. So I got like almost 40 emails that I've got to get read out. I will get back on track here. I'll try to maybe do 2 a week. I'll do my best to get out for a hike and do one, because that's what I love to do. But I don't know how many hikes I'm going to get on before now and the time I go on my wilderness journey trip, my solo survival trip. I just don't know how much time I'm going to have to get out hiking. So you might have to settle with this green screen here. It might be the best I can do for you. So with that being said, thanks to everybody. Peggy, you know who you are. Peggy gave me super thanks. I got many super thanks in the last, few weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. And I thank every single one of you so much from the bottom of my heart. Peggy gave me $100 super thanks. $100, like $100 tip for, you know what? I'm doing this anyways. Okay. Nobody has to pay me a dime. I am putting this stuff out there for you people, no matter what. Yes, it takes a lot of time, but I enjoy being out in the woods and putting together these little, videos for you guys. I ain't no pro, okay? There's nothing special about them. They're pretty raw. They're pretty uncut, but hey, what you see is what you get. So anyways, thanks to everybody that was so generous to give me a super thanks. Peggy and so many more. And you know what? That money does come in very useful, very helpful to me, because I put it towards stuff for this channel. Okay, I'll buy a new camera, or I'll buy some gear, or whatever it is, and it really does help. I really, really, really appreciate it. Don't ever feel like you have to do it. Okay, I don't ever expect that from anyone, but I do really appreciate it. Okay, for all you impatient fuckers out there that don't want to hear about anything else other than an email, here we go. The glasses are on. The glasses are on. We will dig in. Holy, this is going to take a while. I hope you got a cup of coffee. I hope you got a cup of coffee, because it's going to be a little while. Let me see if I can get something to prop this up a little bit here. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's dive in. One more drink of coffee. Here we go, people. Darren, I really enjoyed our phone conversation the other day and would love to talk again sometime soon. It's not often in life that you meet people that share so many of the same interests, passions, and beliefs that you do. I know we rambled for quite a while about gold, diamonds, etc., but when you told me you love gold panning, I couldn't help but ramble because I share the same interest. I've flown over northern BC and the Yukon many times when going to work in the Arctic, but I have never hunted there. It's always been a bucket list thing for me. You're so fortunate to be able to hunt such beautiful, vast mountains. I also consider myself fortunate as the mountains I hunt here are very majestic and beautiful as well. You asked me to email you my other encounters with Bigfoot so you could share them with the people. So here you go, my new friend. I want to start off by saying how much I commend you for what you are doing on your YouTube channel. You said the reason you started the channel was strictly to share your passion for the wilderness and Mother Nature, and that you would always give full disclosure. You also said that when you received the first email about Bigfoot and approached your friend Steve to send it to him, he told you to give her and read it. You said you were very reluctant for what it may do to your channel, but you made a promise to the people and you read it. After talking with you for hours, I know you're a man of your word, and I truly believe you did the right thing. And I also believe that good will come from reading that first encounter. Keep your head high and be proud, Darren. You're doing good for all here. Anyways, enough blabbering. I just needed to tell you that. I don't remember the exact year of this encounter, but it was sometime in the mid-80s. I was out on an early season mule deer scouting trip and doing some fishing on the Crookshank River, which holds some fantastic rainbow trout. The area I was scouting was about 12 miles from where I parked my truck, and I had a nice camp spot next to the river at the base of the mountain that I was planning to hunt later that fall. I had been there for a couple of days and spent the mornings glassing for deer and the afternoons fishing the river and relaxing, as well as putting up some wood for my fall hunt. One morning after glassing the mountain for deer, I headed back to camp and had breakfast, then grabbed my fly rod and started working my way up the river where I hadn't fished yet. I was probably a mile or so from the camp when I saw tracks in the gravel up ahead of me. As I got closer, I could see the tracks were very large, and at first I was thinking grizzly or possibly black bear. Now I have to admit, my experience with Cliff a few years previously was always on my mind when I was in the mountains, but I never let it consume me. As I got within 10 feet or so of the tracks, I realized they were not grizzly or black bear tracks. These were human-looking tracks, barefoot and much larger than my size 11 wading boot. My heart started to pound, and my thought of that elk being killed in front of our eyes hit me hard. I stopped and stared down at the tracks and then looked in the direction they went. This thing headed to the bank of the river and then stopped. I walked over to the riverbank, which was sand and gravel, and the bank was 10 to 12 feet, almost straight up. And there was only one footprint halfway up the bank. This thing took one step to get up a 10-foot bank that was at least a 60-degree slope. The print in the bank was hard to see, but it was the same creature for sure. I turned and walked back to the river, looking at its tracks the entire way. As I got close to the river, the last couple tracks were still wet around the edges. Now I was extremely nervous. This thing had come out of the river just before I saw the tracks. I stood there motionless for a while just to listen to my surroundings, but I never heard a thing. I didn't have my rifle with me. It was back at camp, but I did have a sidearm on me while I was fishing. I decided to head back to camp, constantly looking over my shoulder and feeling as though I was being watched. Several times on the way back, I thought I heard some kind of thumping sound, but when I'd stop, it would stop. I didn't have my handgun drawn because, quite honestly, Darren, I know without a doubt that no firearm can harm these beings. I believe as you do that if you were to take a shot at one of them, you will not get out of the woods alive. I got back to camp and sat down by the fire to replay what I had just seen. My mind kept going back to when Cliff and I had our encounter on our elk hunt. Thinking of that just made me more nervous, but I couldn't help it. I weighed the options of packing up camp and heading out or sticking it out till morning and leaving then when I had a full day to make it back to my truck. As much as I wanted to head for the truck right away, I knew that bad things can happen when a person is scared, and then to be out hiking in that country in the dark is a recipe for disaster. I decided to get a big fire going and hang out at camp and be ready for the trail first thing in the morning. Nightfall came and I knew I wouldn't be getting much sleep, so I sat by the fire drinking coffee until I finally had to go lay down. That's when shit went sideways in a hurry. I was laying in the tent with my handgun and my .338 mag beside me for nothing more than mental comfort when I heard a very loud hoot. Somewhat like an owl, but definitely not an owl. The lung capacity and deepness of the hoot was incredible. It was a terrifying sound, and I knew damn well what had made it. I sat up in the tent immediately and hollered as loud as I could, "Leave me alone." Immediately following my yell, another 2 hoots. And this thing was within 100 feet of my tent. Every time it made a noise, I would yell, "Get out of here." My yelling seemed to do nothing, and this thing continued to make different noises, including breaking very large branches off trees. I'm telling you, Darren, I was absolutely terrified, but I felt completely useless and vulnerable. I grabbed both guns and got out of the tent to stand by the fire so I could at least see what was going to kill me. I figured if this thing was going to kill me, I'm going to unload both guns into it before I die. As I was standing there at the fire, I could hear it walking around my camp, and it made grunts, much like a bull elk chuckles. I know that sound. It finally stopped, and some time went by that I didn't hear anything, but I stood looking in the direction of the last noises. The light from the fire shined into the brush, and all of a sudden, right where I had been looking, a figure just appeared beside a large tree. I could see its hip, shoulder, left arm, and head. I swear I could hear this thing breathing and see its chest moving, but probably not. I suddenly realized that I was frozen where I stood and could not move any part of my body. I couldn't speak. I tried to yell, but my mouth wouldn't move and no noise came out. I felt as though something had taken over my body, or like I was in a dream, but I was definitely not dreaming. I stared at this being for what seemed like hours, but was likely only a minute or so. And then this thing took a step away from the tree so its entire body was in view. Now remember, it's dark out, but the light from the fire showed this being's shape as clear as a bell. I could almost make out its facial expressions and see the whites of its eyes. What happened next still haunts me to this day, Darren. This thing made several very low, deep, grunt-type sounds, and then there was a blur as it moved further away from the tree. Then in the blink of an eye, it was gone. I never heard a sound or saw anything else. It simply vanished in front of me. I was now able to move and speak, and I spun around to look behind me several times, but there was nothing there. As I stood there looking around, I heard another grunt to my left, and as I turned my head, there it was again, standing partially behind a tree. As soon as I looked directly at it, it vanished once again. I started yelling to leave me alone, and I think I actually began to cry because I felt my life was about to end. The second time this thing vanished in front of me was the last time I saw or heard it. The forest went quiet, and the terrifying ordeal appeared to be over. I stood there by the fire trying to make sense of what I witnessed and decided that I needed to pack my shit and get out of there right now. I packed what I could and ended up leaving my little tent behind because I didn't want to take the time to tear it down and pack it up. I put on my headlamp and headed for my truck. It was almost daybreak by the time I got to the road my truck was on, and I wasted no time getting to the parking spot, throwing my pack in the back and getting the hell out of there. When I got to town a few hours later, I went directly to the game warden's office, as the warden in the area was a pretty good friend of mine. We had a coffee and I told him what had happened. He looked me right in the eyes and said, "Stu, you know that these things are out there and you've handled it perfectly both times." That's in quotation. Also in quotation, "Keep this to yourself and do what you do. They'll let you be." End of quotation. I said, "They're not letting me be, Cam. They're scaring the living shit out of me and I've had enough." I ended up calling Cliff later that day to tell him what had happened. And Cliffy said, in quotation, "Stu, maybe it's time for a new hobby." We both kind of laughed and I said, "Cliff, I can't give up hunting and fishing." And he said, "Neither can I." I've had encounters with grizzlies, black bears, and forest people, and I'm still here to talk about it. So I guess that's reason enough to keep doing what I love. Anyways, Darren, that's probably enough for this email. I will send you the final run-in I had with these people. Although it was pretty minor, it's still worth talking about. Again, I'd like to thank you personally for what you're doing. I know you didn't ask for this to happen, but we're all on this planet for a purpose. And this, I believe, is one of your purposes. Thanks again for the phone call, and my door is always open to my new friend. Take care, and we'll talk again soon, I hope. Stewart Miller. I got frickin' goosebumps. I'm in my shop safe and sound, and I got goosebumps. And that's the second time I've heard that story because Stu told me damn near the whole story on the phone. Like, I just can't even imagine. I can't imagine being that close and having something, I don't want to say stalking you, but obviously this thing knew exactly what it was doing and followed Stu and hung around or came back at dark when he was in bed or whatever. Like, it's just like, it is terrifying. I wasn't even there. It didn't happen to me, but it's terrifying. Just the thought of it in my mind is freaking terrifying. And what blows my mind is, I don't know. I'll ask Stu next time I talk to him. I don't know if he went back to that same area again, if he's been back there since. But he was telling me not the weekend after that, but the following weekend after that, he actually went out hunting and like camped out in a tent and did his thing. You know, most people would probably never go in the bush again. I've had shit happen to me, and yeah, I continue to go out. So I guess whatever, we're cut from the same cloth, but I'm not going to give it up. And obviously neither is Stu. He's like say he's in his late 60s, and he said he'll hunt and fish until he can't walk anymore. But man, oh man, talk about scare the shit out of you. The sounds, you know, the sounds are very familiar. I've heard those sounds, and it's terrifying, man. But, you know, he laid eyes on this thing at, I don't know how many, what did he say? I forget how many feet away, like close. I think he said it was 30 or 40 feet when it popped out from the tree. Like, that is freaking close, man. You know, if that was a grizzly bear at 30 or 40 feet, a grizzly bear could be on you in half a second. That's how fast they are. These things, who knows, right? And then to vanish and then come back, and oh, like Christ. Anyways, thanks, buddy. Really, really appreciate it. I'm sure all the people appreciate it. And I think it was a fairly long email, so I'm going to save Stu's last email for another day. And I got so many more. I think there's one in there I think there's another email. I don't know if it's an encounter. I haven't had a chance to go through it from our friend, the native man that was fishing, dip net fishing, and the Bigfoot came and was sitting at his fish pile as he turned around. Another email from him. I'm going to get into that as well. So just bear with me, guys. I got to read these, look at them, whatever, make sure that they're encounters, and I'll get them out to you. If they're just follow-ups, I'll get them out to you. If they're totally irrelevant emails, then I'm not going to read them, obviously. But if there's any information in there that's worthy of sharing with you guys, you're going to get it. Just bear with me. Give me some time. Got a bunch more phone calls to make. I want to talk to a bunch more people. I want to talk to Marty. I'd like to try to reach out to Amy. God, there's lots, you know. Next phone call tomorrow with Fred Roll, Subarctic Alaskan Sasquatch. Gonna have a chat with Fred, see what Fred has to say, and hopefully Fred and I can record that and share it with you guys. So bless you all. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Here in Canada, it's Thanksgiving weekend for us. We give thanks for everything that we're thankful for. I'm thankful to be alive, and I'm thankful for my family, and I'm thankful for all of you people. And we celebrate that. We give thanks on Sunday. Family dinner, turkey, drinks, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Be thankful for what you do have. Be safe. Be kind. Remember, it's easier to be kind than it is to be a douchebag. And if you're going to leave a smart-ass shithead comment on Outlaw Country, it will be there very briefly, because I'll delete it, I'll hide you, and you can never comment on here again. So, you got nothing nice to say, don't say a damn thing at all. That's what my mom used to say. All right? Okay, I know there's more. Totally forgot what else I wanted to mention to everybody. One quick thing I wanted to mention. On my hunting videos, there's no drone footage. It is against the law in British Columbia to possess a drone while you're on a hunting trip. You can't even have it in your truck. You can't have it anywhere near you when you're hunting. So there's no drone footage, unfortunately, from my hunt. I'll get a ton when I'm out on my wilderness solo survival trip. I'll get a ton of drone footage then, but there's no drone footage on the hunting trip. And I will get those videos up to you soon. Okay? Be safe. Bless you all. Talk to you later.